right, so we want to welcome everyone that's listening, everyone that's watching. We want to say welcome back to the Thoughtful Discussion. My name is Corey Ochai. We're never here by ourselves. You know what I mean? So I got my good friend on the right here. He's going to bring himself in. Let's do this darn thing, man.
I love the co-host situation we have. It's been really wonderful. So thank you, Corey, for being here.
Man, it's amazing.
My name is Josh Snyder, and you're listening to Thoughtful Discussions with Josh Snyder, and I'm here with
Tom Moss, a rose between two thorns, man.
Hello. Say that twice.
Just saying.
So,
and tell me, who are you? What do you do? Give me a little rundown.
I'm still trying to find myself. I don't know.
This is the type of treat you're in for today, guys. This is it.
I'm an artist, bon vivant, socialite. No, but I'm an artist living shitty side. My studio's over at 412 Studios here in Etna,
Right.
which is beautiful this time of year.
Absolutely.
Etna. I do all kinds of different work. I in the past I was a illustrator, so the commercial artist, and I do work for a company called Sports and the Arts. So we do work for sports arenas all around the country. So I'll do logo treatments. I'll do landscape paintings. Giant football players. In my past, I've done cartoon illustration, caricature illustration for magazines. So it was like a commercial illustrator, and then another area doing fine art stuff that resonates and send you to the MoMA for huge things. But my work's all over the place. So my only job that I was the Pirate Parrot mascot for 8 years for the Pittsburgh Pirates back in the 90s, putting my Penn State degree to good use. But some artists and actors, they wait on tables. I jumped around in a bird suit for 8 years, so 700 baseball games and a few trips to Holland for baseball tournaments, to England, to London. Yeah, I've had a bizarre life, but that was my only job. So everything I've done to make money has been involving creativity, which is super cool.
Man, I call you a Pittsburgh legend. You're not even a Pittsburgh legend. I look at you like me being an artist and watching how you move and how you navigate this beautiful world, man.
I've learned so much.
Oh, I've learned so much, and I'm so
Really?
inspired. I'm truly.
I can move.
It's the pinnacle. It's almost like, okay, that's where I want to be at. If you want to do this full time, that's where you want to be. There's nowhere that I look that I don't see Tom Mosa doing art and having a blast doing it. This man loves what he does. So regardless if you're an artist or whatever,
comes through.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, your intro. I think you were, even though you said a good bit, I think you're still being modest, man.
Real quick, do you know how many newspaper clippings you have, articles that you're a subject of?
There's a lot. There's a lot of self-absorption if I wanted to.
No.
Yeah, but I have
I just want to give people an idea of who you are.
Well, that's the thing. Back in the day, if you got a newspaper article about you, that was gold.
Yeah.
But then it disappeared, and that became like the
screenshots.
Fish wrap. You wrapped fishes back in the day. But now, if you get an article about yourself, it's out there, and that's gold for an artist. I mean,
absolutely.
20 years ago, you had to, if you did a painting or a series of paintings, you wanted to get in front of art directors for an art gallery or for a magazine, you had to go to a print place, get them printed up. You had to type out a letter, put them in an envelope, go to the post office, mail them, wait a few days, and then make a phone call to some ADD overworked art director who didn't want to give you the second thought, and then you're lying around depressed like, what the heck? But now you can get the word out. So
people need to know what that experience was like.
Absolutely.
It's ongoing, but I try to. Anytime I have rough times and I talk to people, like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, it was tough to get your work out.
Work out there.
I mean, look at this. I mean,
I think we say it's tough, but I mean, I think like you said, back then it was a real. The grind was a lot more intense. It was a lot more intense, man. We have so many more tools now. We have social media. I can talk to somebody in Japan right now without even knowing them, and actually show them my work. Back then it was really, you had to have your feet on the ground. You always had to be moving. There was you couldn't be an internet warrior. You had to be a hand-to-hand combat type of person because everything was feet on the ground, talking to one person at a time, where now we can talk to the world, but that's something where I see you navigating just as well. And I think it really, I think the way that you had to approach it beforehand carried on, and like, cause you have the grind of Like your grind is unmatched, unmatched.
I'm still grinded, but I appreciate that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
now, I mean, your art is about creating a dialogue, and public art's about creating a dialogue. But you're creating films now related to your work, so that's a dialogue. When somebody sees one of your paintings, well, this guy's a broadcaster, he's a filmmaker. There's more to the story, and it's up to you to sort of get that word out. And it's how much do you manage your time? How much time you want to spend on social media? How much you want to do on publicity? And how much do you want to make art and get the word out? So you have to try to, but it is powerful. So I do a lot of sports related work, but I have this theme where I have to do logo treatments for these stadiums. So you're coming up with different techniques, whether it be oil paint or acrylics, how many brush strokes you use. Or
when you say logo treatment, can you explain that? Can you give a brief explanation?
So like at a stadium, you have luxury boxes, and so all the luxury boxes have sponsors like Adobe or Apple. So a lot of times they want to have their logo done in an artistic way.
Okay.
So you do logo treatments, or you do logo treatments of the football team, the Green Bay Packers. So I developed this theme where if you paint on footballs and you roll them onto a perfectly made stencil and you peel it off, you can see the dimples and the laces of the football or the basketball, but then there's this perfect logo. What better way to depict the Green Bay Packers logo than a logo that was created with a Green Bay Packers football? And it's such a great idea.
It's amazing.
I could have thought of that idea when I was 20, but so I started honing the idea in little 412 studios, my little studio, and now it's out in multiple stadiums. But if you know you have a good idea, you know it's a good idea. It resonates in a small room. You know it's going to resonate nationally. It's just that you have to get it in front of the right people.
Well, you were doing all sorts. You were painting with tennis balls.
That's powerful.
And all sorts of stuff like that too, right?
Yeah. I
Was
always
that first?
say that everything. I was giving a commencement speech to my high school, which was awesome. Huntington Area High School. I'm a Bearcat.
Yo, is that on YouTube? Oh,
I haven't looked at it because I botched one phrase and I can't. I was so embarrassed. I blanked out for like 20 seconds. I can't watch it.
I would pay to watch it.
It came out good.
Yeah.
But they didn't realize that 5 years before that I had given the commencement speech as well. But the new class didn't know about it, and the new administration didn't.
They were 5 years.
So they
too
got
late.
sloppy seconds. Oh, I did it twice.
God.
So I was having coffee with a buddy of mine, and he said, "Tom, if you were to encapsulate the one word, how you're going to mold these young people's lives with one word in this speech, what would that one word be?" And I said, "I have no flippin' idea." And I said another word, but I had no flippin' idea. And I thought, that's it. Idea. That's the most important word in any language. Everything we do is an idea. Going like this with my arm, that was an idea that I had. What shirt you're going to wear, what business you're going to open, what college you're going to go to. Everything we do is an idea. Playing sports, you're dribbling a basketball, head bob, spin move, jump step. Every movement is an idea. And
I've literally thought about this. If I ever had the opportunity to do a commencement speech, how would I start it? I would say, this is how it started. The idea that you think I know what I'm doing is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
That is how I would start it, because you have to wing through life. You know what I mean? Sometimes we act like we do know what we're doing or what we want to do, but a lot of times it's like we have an idea of what it is that we want to accomplish. We have no idea how to get there. So it's like, let's just travel through this void and figure this thing out. But the willingness to,
give yourself permission to acknowledge your ideas. You got to push through it. But so I had the idea of painting with footballs, paint a football or basketball. I could have thought of that idea when I was 12.
That's true.
Or
You
15.
probably did.
So you tell 12 or 15-year-olds or 18-year-olds, you don't have to wait till you're 40, till you're 30. If you got a great idea, and you don't, doesn't have to be an influencer, but you could develop a product, write a song or whatever. Your idea is right there in front of you. Give yourself permission as an 18-year-old to jump on it. I have no idea where I went with that, but I gave 2 commencement speeches. It was
that was beautiful.
amazing.
That's where we're at.
Yeah.
You know what? I think the listeners got a good idea of who we're talking to now, right? Hey, Josh, you were saying that. How many times has this man been embedded in an article?
Right.
What was the number? Because I'm like,
he didn't have a number. I mean, I think hundreds.
Hundreds.
There's a lot. I mean, but that's all well and good. But when you don't go to your,
I mean, for the amount of time I've known you,
Right.
which is probably almost 9 years, because Shark is almost 9.
right?
And
Shark,
and so, I mean, I would say a few dozen I mean, I've seen a few dozen articles.
There's been a lot of stuff with doing work for the stadiums. You go there for the art openings, and you get put in front of the media.
Yeah.
You have to be comfortable talking. There'll be articles about that, and the idea of this guy was a baseball team mascot. That's an anecdote. You're always looking for anecdotes, but you can go with those ego trips of having an article. You pay the rent. Hey, look at this article about me. Can I have this month off? No, you still got to pay your rent. Taxes. Can I look at these articles? Look at this. Wow, look at that. No, you still have to pay your taxes, man.
Absolutely.
So that's good, and they're powerful. You have to hold on to those links, get them out there, and keep promoting.
The reason I asked that, because I really wanted to know. I really wanted to step back into time and see. When was it that you decided that this beautiful career that you wanted to have and with your creativity, when did that start? When did you say, I want to be an artist? I think the two greatest days are the day you were born and the day you found out why you were born. So what was that day that you found out, like, why I'm here to do it, why I'm here?
I remember distinctly in kindergarten, we were finger painting. We were finger painting. I remember the feeling. Remember finger painting? The feeling of swooshing it around. And I guess they just gave you ultra smooth paper and some paint. You just went at it. Yeah. And I remember kids gathering around to watch what I was doing. And they thought, little Tommy's a really good artist. And I was in kindergarten, so I knew when I was really, really little. But my parents were both. My dad was an advertising director at he worked at a newspaper till I was like 12, and then he went to a locally owned department store. So he was doing creative stuff, writing jingles, designing displays for the store, advertisements for newspaper, writing commercial radio ads and everything. So I was surrounded by creativity. My mom wanted to be an actress, but my grandfather said, nope, you're going to get a trade. And she became a mom, and she was a great mom. So, but they were both involved in community theater, and they were always practicing musicals. So my mom was a real ham. She always would have the lead. My dad would be in plays, but then he would also direct a lot. So I was around this creativity. And since my mom was held back from her dream of being an actress, at least going to New York and trying, the act of trying. Right. She said, my kids, I don't know what you guys are going to do, but if you want to go into the arts, we're gonna encourage you. And so that's beautiful. My sister Nancy's a casting director in town, Nancy Mosser Casting, and my other sister's a website designer. So we're surrounded by creativity, and so I just kind of kept on doing it. But I was always involved in playing sports and being an active kid but then I didn't have video games to play. We had 3 TV stations to watch, and one of them was PBS, and that was kind of blurry.
I remember those days.
I guess ABC PBS was kind of clear. Yeah. So there wasn't a whole lot to do. So I drew all the time, and I'd go out and play basketball and play sports. So it was like, it's ironic that I would I would be pulled to draw football players and baseball players and cars, and then last week I did a rendering of Terry Bradshaw, Lynn Swan for a law firm office. So I'm still doing the same thing.
There's something I could say about your work that is so interesting to me, right? A lot of times people have a distinct style. You know it when you see it. Like I know who that person is. It is so hard to know if you did it or not, because you don't sit in one style. Like you will navigate to different genres of this art world, and it's almost like I've seen some of your neo-expressionism, I've seen some of your realism, I've seen your sketching, and it's a beautiful thing, because it's like, I don't, like, that may be Tom, that may not be Tom. It's like you're very broad in the way you create. You don't just stick with one thing and that's it.
It's coffee.
Okay.
ADD.
Okay, I get it.
There was one that you did. What was the one with the bottle where you were doing a live painting? You had a bottle with paint in it, and it was supposed to be like chocolate or ketchup or something like that.
Yeah, I did.
You know what I'm talking about?
I did a live painting thing for the Cultural Trust, and we painted with chocolate. But I faked it. It wasn't going to work. I put brown acrylic paint in a couple of tubes to make it work. But yeah, I was on a sports show for KDKA, and I was competing against Jerome Bettis and Cordell Stewart. We were painting with mustard and ketchup, and it was a contest, and it was awful. But all the different techniques. I would see a technique in a magazine. I'd say, oh, I want to paint like Monet, and I would do it for a long time. And oh, I want to paint like Van Gogh. Oh, that I loved illustration. There was a editorial cartoonist named Pat Oliphant who I just followed. He's a great pen and ink illustrator, but he also wrote his editorial cartoons, and I would try to draw like him. Basically, I couldn't. All I did was pen and ink drawing as a high school kid and a little kid.
Right.
I didn't start painting until I got to college, so it was just drawing. And painting is just drawing with a paintbrush, the way I look at it. So that's what Van Gogh did. He did pen and ink drawings, like little slashes, and then he painted just like that. He just started using paintbrushes. So, and you just, but it's all become part of your repertoire. You don't change what you do. You add to what you do. Okay, I'm a chef, and I can cook breakfast foods. Okay, that's in my repertoire. Now I can cook lunch foods. I can cook fine gourmet meals. I can do all of that. You don't have to necessarily pigeonhole yourself, but the market will dictate what money you're going to make, what projects you're going to do. Like people who think that I do all sports stuff, and they'll come at me to do sports related work. People that know that I would do cartoon illustrations for magazines, I would do that. So you do what you can to get by and make a buck, but it's all creativity. Once you're doing a cartoon illustration, it's the same as you're doing a beautiful landscape painting. And looking back on it, maybe it was better if I would have just done one thing, but all those skills are all in your repertoire that you have.
I feel similar with like printmaking, and
absolutely,
I've been doing it for 20 years.
I was just thinking about that.
As much as I'm printing other people's art, the medium of printing as a science and as a art form is there is a method, and you get better over time and experience, and then different equipment, and same thing, you go from one thing and then you kind of build on that, and you don't have to just stick with one style or one type, and so it definitely changes and grows with you, and it can be huge.
You evolve, and people will say, oh, you changed your style. No, this is just something else that I do.
Right.
But all those skills still come together. All the pen and ink drawing, when you start painting that same sort of flowing style, it's all part of the same. So I was doing 2 weeks ago, I got contracted to do 3 pen and ink 16 by 16 inch renderings of 3 Pittsburgh Steelers for a Terry Bradshaw room of this, I think it's a financial company. I probably should know, but I'm working with the interior designer, not necessarily the company. Okay. And so there was 2 techniques that I like. They like a circular, I call it my loop technique. Because I was a little kid, I like drawing circles. Right. Now it's evolved. My business advisor always said, if you come up with a technique, brand it, give it a name. So if you Google loop technique, there's a lot of crocheting, and there's a lot of me.
That's beautiful.
But I was a little kid, I used to draw in ink. I used to like straight lines. I would cut out. I have books of illustrators' work and artists' work that I would glue into books. And there was a couple illustrators that had this really cool flowing line work. So I would practice that when I was in junior high and high school. So I did this. I was pulling out renderings from 20 years ago to use as samples for these people, and they said, we like this, we like this. That was from 20 years ago. So when I did the renderings last week, it was like collaborating with the Tom Mosser from 20 years ago.
That's beautiful.
Because I had that in my head, so I was like, oh, I know what to do with this. And
I do that all the time, man.
It doesn't leave you. It's in there. It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
But yeah, those, all the different attributes, the stuff that I've done, has to do with just, I want to try that. And I just give myself permission to do that. But I have tons of artwork. There are paintings that I've given away that didn't make a nickel from. It was just the idea of the love of doing this and getting. Right. I'm a better artist and more involved artist after I've created something than before I created it. So that kind of thing. But it's not the idea like you want to make money, but
you gave me some of my best advice when I started just to get into this journey, and was at 412 as well. I call it 448, but 412.
That's how I remember.
And you was,
that's how I know you guys.
Yeah, and the reason why a lot of my pictures have the scratching in it. Tom gave me this tool. This was the first time I've ever had a tool like this. It was like a rake, and he actually, we were down in his studios. I went down there to talk with him, and he was using it. It was like, It was the first time I seen somebody paint without a paintbrush, or draw without a paintbrush. You know what I mean? Like he was saying.
Leave it to Tom for that.
Yeah. Painting is just drawing with a paintbrush. Right?
His brushes are all lost.
So we had this conversation where he was like, why don't you try to use a twig or try to use this or try? And that's when I realized, like, I don't have to use a paintbrush or a pen or whatever everybody else is using. I can find something else that has a unique path or a unique like pattern or just like thing to it and create with that, and then it'll be it'll make something completely different. And I still use that still to this day. Like I say, there's no rules to this. Like literally, that's what he taught me. There is no rules. It's a lawless game. So, and you just create whatever you want to create with, as long as you're creating, and that's your creation.
Yeah,
that's
it's gonna. I mean, how nobody paints like you. Nobody. You're an artist. You're a photographer. Nobody has your eye exactly, but you're borrowing techniques and recipes and concepts, but you mix it into your own persona. But I lost my train of thought. But it's in the end, it's still you, and you have to give yourself permission to say, "Oh, I was playing volleyball in Highland Park, the sand pits. I played there for years, and I'm just killing my body, but it's so much fun." But I noticed when the volleyball would roll on the sand, you could see the imprint of the volleyball. It's a very it's a set pattern how they weave a volleyball, and I would roll it around. Then I would throw the ball back, and then I'd roll it around. And then I went to the studio that afternoon with a basketball and a volleyball, and I painted it, and I rolled it, and I went, "Oh my gosh.
This isn't a volleyball, this is a stamp.
This is an art tool." So I went and I thought, well, how can I want to make logo treatments with this, but you also can create, like you take tennis balls and you lather them with paint, they soak up the paint and you start rolling, and you can paint abstract work that you can see the tennis ball themes, but also it doesn't look like a tennis ball, it just looks like it's art, and you can't create that with a paintbrush. So I had started ruining sneaker bottoms, like Chuck Taylor sneaker bottoms have not changed their look in 50 years. So it's iconic. So I created a couple Dick's Sporting Goods. I reached out to them, and I ended up doing a few projects doing Dick's Sporting Goods logos. One was using Chuck Taylor sneaker bottoms with a stencil, using stencil board from Artisan Craftsman Supply. Give them a plug, shameless plug. So
that's my guys. Yes.
They have stencil board. It has oil in it, so it won't warp. So you go to Kinko's, you get the logo printed out. I'm giving out my secrets, but it's fine. I'm sharing the world. And you tape the logo onto the stencil board, and you cut it out. So you got a pretty perfect logo. It's like a little bit off. And then you just go through a simple process of you mount the stencil board or the canvas to the wall, stencil of the particular logo. You take the volleyball, the tennis ball, and you roll it. You peel it back, and there's your logo. All because I gave myself permission to see this volleyball in the sand and say that's an idea. And you could drive yourself crazy with what ideas am I missing? But
I thoroughly enjoy that
constantly. And it's like I was talking to you about, you throw paint on a wall. It's like, well, that looks cool, the brush strokes. But if you take just a stick or a rod or whatever, you can start to draw into it, and it creates a different look. And then you keep overlaying. And I'm not one to people send me ideas and videos of artists painting with frying pans or something. I don't get too.
They're just doing that for
because I want to discover plating with frying pans on my own. So I don't. I try.
That's the fun thing. Sometimes I don't like to look around. I like to discover. I like to from within. Like that to me is more fun when I feel like, oh, I unlock something. Even if it's already done, it's that feeling you get. If you look at some of my pieces, exactly what you were saying, that's what happens, man. Where it's like I'm painting and then I'm finding something else to scratch in there, and they're like, how did you get that? I was like, look, I just found something on the ground. It may be a rock, literally might be a rock in one of my shoes or something. I take out and just start scraping or something. But it's just, everything is fair game. And there's no rules into this. Create your own method. You know what I mean? Because that's what's going to be
methods,
right? Yeah. You're absolutely right. It's just it's beautiful to hear you speak about it, though, because it's that's confirmation. All right, I'm all right.
So I've been mentoring Andrea Chavarria for 20 years now. I had a little studio in Swickley. It was a little storefront, an old cigar store, and it was right across the street from the wine store, which was awesome. Positioning. So it was an art studio, but I would have art shows, and I taught kids and I taught adults drawing classes there. Right. And I lost my train of thought. It was a really good idea.
You were talking about how you were mentoring or
Oh yeah, back to Andrea. Thank you. Could you follow me around all day? Andrea, so Andrea's deaf. She's got a twin brother, Alex, who lives in Denver. But she's got a lot of challenges. But she's really OCD and I'm really ADD, so our worlds collide. So I help her with her speech and her art, kind of a life coach and an eccentric uncle figure.
Yeah.
But she's very clean and I'm not, but it's also a way of her breaking out of her OCD. I don't want to change her because how she is, somebody who's very OCD in particular, they're going to create art a certain way that's uniquely theirs. But I want to add to it. But I use gallons of paint for various artwork. It's only house paint if you use it on a house.
You told me this. I've been me and my friends. That's what we do now. Like we'll just go grab a whole.
It's it's paint.
It's paint.
It's acrylic paint. It's a zillion colors, and people have tons of paint in their garages that they'll give to you.
Absolutely.
So she would come in. She wants to keep things neat because I'm like pouring paint on and stripping down the sides of the cans and getting on. She'd bring in funnels. Say, oh look, you pour the paint into the funnel. It goes in nice and clean. And I went to the funnel. I went, look at it coming out. And I went, oh my gosh, you fill up a funnel, and the line flows out, and you can draw with the paint. And I started going.
You're like, oh, you don't want me to make a mess? Here's a mess.
Oh, look at that! I can use this as an art tool. It was life changing because I can create that kind of circular technique that I developed as a kid with paint. Exactly. You are painting, but you're drawing at the same time. So. You also put a rod into a gallon of paint and you hover. You tried
to show me that, but one time I just couldn't get it like the way you did it. But I had my own style. That's what you did with the big faces as well.
I did a huge portion of it was that theme, and the big weakness in drawing circular with ink or pastel is that you have to put big pieces under glass.
Right.
And that's expensive and it's heavy but I can create that same look with using a funnel or using a rod and paint and hovering over the paper or canvas, and it doesn't need to be put under glass. And you could go huge, hence the really big faces. But that was an idea that was presented to me by Andrea that I twisted around. So she brought in a paint mixer, a drill that we can mix the big gallons of paint. And I went, and that paint's flying.
Yeah.
And you can do a real fine mist for a background. So you don't have to go to Blick, although Blick is a fine store. Product placement.
Blick is amazing.
It could be a sponsor.
Hello, Blick.
Walnut Street, Blick. Blick.com. But you can go to Dick's Sporting Goods to get your art supplies, or Home Depot to get your art supplies. So it's about the idea, ideas are all around you, whether it be film, printmaking, your business.
Which, speaking of, what is your current idea?
But I want to.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I have many ideas.
The big one.
Well, one project is the project involving Mark Fogel.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark Fogel is I think he's mainly a history teacher from Oakmont, Pennsylvania. Okay. And in 2021, I believe August, he arrived in Moscow, Russia, at the airport. He was going to teach there. He has apparently, I think, a really bad back. Mm-hmm. So he had a little bit of cannabis for his treatments, and they looked through his suitcase, and you can see security camera video online, and they arrested him, and long story short, they sentenced him to 14 years in prison. And so I was aware of that, and just over time, in last year, especially when we were working on Really Big Faces, the show, I was aware of the story, but the ether of life, you kind of gets mixed in. Mm-hmm. And a few weeks ago, I was thinking about it, and I thought, what if I saw a photograph of him, and it looked like the photographs that I would take for Really Big Faces when I took photographs of you all. He's just kind of looking at the camera, just a gentle smile, no teeth, and he was taken from jail in Russia by a friend. And I said, I'm going to do a giant portrait of him in the Really Big Faces style, and maybe I can do something with this. And then it kind of fed off each other quickly with coffee. That what if I got 40, 50, 30, 60 other artists in Pittsburgh to do some kind of rendition, not necessarily of a portrait, but something involving freedom. I think that pieces of freedom theme.
Yeah, freedom.
And have a big pop-up show. So I'm talking with the Innovation Center about having a pop-up show sometime in the future. And so it's now, Sasha Phillips was one of your really big face subjects. She's a great painter, but she's also an attorney. She's the family's attorney. So I reached out to her, and she loved the idea, but I didn't know how the family would feel about it. The family is on board with it. They want to do a Zoom call with me. They're kind of overwhelmed by the idea of it. So I'm started to reaching out to artists behind the scenes. I think I have 12 who are booked in to do for a pop-up. So they won't be selling a show. They get their art back. But the idea is that now we're going to reach out to the Art All Night people to see if they would encourage maybe having all Art All Night devoted to Mark's plight. Can you imagine having 2,000 pieces of art related to it?
Even a section.
But a section. Beautiful. I think the worst case scenario, they say encourage people, get some PR to encourage people to do art related to freedom, justice, Mark Fogel, and have a powerful weekend event. But the pop-up show will serve as maybe a promotion for that, or we'll do it after. It's all still in flux. It's very fluid situation.
You got 13, because I got a piece right there that represents that. It's literally right behind
us.
And
I want to promote the artists. We're always talking about how can we make an impact with art or music, film.
Well,
this is one way.
My biggest thing is about Mr. Fogel and what's going on with him, and it's being combative to that approach of taking someone's freedom. For something so small, something so minute, it's a medicine. So, and I feel like that's something we need to shine a light on. We just went through that with Miss Griner as well, with Brittany Griner as well.
She was a hostage. They're hostages.
Yeah, they feel like tokens of war. You know what I mean? And it's just not right. It's just something that shouldn't be happening, and it's something that we shouldn't accept, because what you accept is what you regret. And I think if we keep accepting it, it'll continue to happen. So we need to at least let them know that we're here with them, even if that's the least we can do. But we need to shine some light.
I think it's shine some light, and it's a three-pronged thing. It's also promoting the talent that Pittsburgh has in the art world and the music world and the film world. It's also individual artists for them, and it's for kids who want to get involved, or whatever. There's a lot of things going on, and I think it would have the potential to get a lot of national PR. So this is the first I've talked about it in public.
Well, it's
not
amazing.
that I don't know when you're releasing this, but it's all in the future.
It's all in the works. It's all in the works. It's all timeless. But I think that's absolutely beautiful, to use creativity to make the world just that much better. That's what this is about.
Yeah, so. I'm not going to make any money from the portrait. The PR value is awesome. You always get PR value, and that's great. And articles and links, and it benefits me, but it's also paying forward. What can I do as an artist to help out in my small way this man is by doing a big portrait of him. And I'm happy the way it has come out. It's almost done, so that's good too. Nice. You don't want,
I think
he's
that's
6 feet tall, but he looks good. And it's from this picture of him. He looks so kind, and I've been getting messages behind the scenes from friends of his, and they said he's a great father, he's a great person. Thank goodness for doing it. And I've done a couple little videos of the portrait with music, and I've had people write to me, this brought tears to my eyes. We need to get him free. So it makes me feel really good.
That's beautiful. And if you guys are not following Tom Mosa, you're doing yourself a big disservice. I'm telling you that right now, man. It is absolutely a gem that every day I can go on there and I can watch just some other portion of your journey and wherever it's taking you to, because it shows us as artists, especially
all over the place.
It's just right there. It's like, he can do this and do this. Like, oh, you know what? Maybe I can do this. And it's like that 4-minute mile. No one thought it could be done until they seen it happen. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, once they see it happen, it's like, okay, it's a possibility.
The barriers.
Are you still doing portraits every morning?
I am, little self-portraits. I'm on this is the 3rd year in a row, I think.
Every day.
Every day. And sometimes they're like little renderings, little quickies, little 3 minutes, but then I write a little diary. Mara and I Mara proposed to Mara.
That's the one that's getting framed right there.
Diary,
that's over the fireplace.
Yeah, I did it back in 2012.
You need to print it really big.
Yeah, I did it back in 2012 into 2013. Then I skipped a couple years. I did it again for a year. So now I'm 3 years running. So I'm like
well,
1,200, 1,300 selfies.
Well, I mean,
it's a great exercise.
Yeah, I'm about to say your face never changes. What is the purpose of? That's just how you start your day. It's how you choose to start your day.
It'd be
end of the day. It could be at different times of the day. They're all different times of the day, and sometimes I forget, and I'll be in bed and I'll get up.
Like, I forgot.
I can do the self-portrait. But a lot of times it's like, well, guys, we can let our beards grow, our hair grow, so you can have some changes. But I draw with both hands, so I'll use a variety of markers or pens or brushes, and then I'll do a lefty, and I'll say, okay, this one is going to be straight line. This one's going to be a caricature, like so. But we don't do enough. It was an urge. It was inspired by the movie Julia and Julia, the story of the chef, my assistant. Julia Child. The story of Julia Child and the woman who was a struggling writer, and she needed some kind. Her novel wasn't going to be sold, and she needed some kind of writing outlet. And her husband said, "Write a blog. Why don't you write a blog about Julia Child and the art of French cooking? Cook a recipe every day for a full year." Within 6 months, the New York Times jumped on it, and she became famous. 8 years later, Meryl Streep is in a movie based on her blog. So it was inspirational to me. What can I do every day as an artist?
Right.
Inspired by that. Not that Meryl Streep's going to be in a movie about my self-portraits, but it was like an act that I would do. And social media was a big part of that because you post it. Yeah. There's a Facebook page.
I think that helps.
Self-portrait series by Tom Mosser.
It helps break up your creativity too. If you're working on a project, especially with logos. So something I was going to say about that too is, like, even though I'm doing printing and all of it, almost all of it, is printing that's not my work necessarily, it's still the method is what makes it my work. And so for you, you're doing someone else's logo. You gotta redo this or whatever. Doing the selfies, I think, is a good exercise to break a monotony of like, oh, I got to do 100 of these and I'm being paid and it's a commission.
Yep.
Right. But also, when you are doing those and you can make it your own style and do it, it still makes it's still your signature on it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can keep that where you do things, you make money, and it's not necessarily your thing, but it's still your style, your brand, kind of at the end of the day. And
it's old school. Mm-hmm. It's old school art, pencil on paper or pen on paper a lot of the times. And but working with your work, when I'm working with you, and this past couple of months we're doing all the work. I'm going to keep you busy this year. But it's a collaboration. It's a total collaboration. And can we talk about the collaboration that we did?
Absolutely.
So, okay, how can I give you a cliff note? So I listen to the Tony Kornheiser podcast religiously. It comes on like 4 days a week. The old sports writer and ESPN host of Pardon the Interruption. And
shout out to Pardon the Interruption. That's one of my shows that I love it.
Just two grizzled old sports writers just having a conversation about sports and life. And so he's got a little goofy little section at the end of the podcast, Tony's Mailbag, where he reads emails. And people are great writers. Right. And he's a great reader of emails. So you would think, oh, he's going to read emails from people. No, it's really good writing, and it's really funny. He's got this little jingle, and they have one set jingle, the Tony's Mailbag jingle, and but then they have marching bands do their own versions, jazz bands, and guitarists, like goofy, different kinds of singers. So I had the idea, I'm going to do an operatic Tony's Mailbag jingle. Here comes Tony's Mailbag. That's a little segment of it. So I did it in the front seat of my car with my golden retriever in the background, Lucas, outside of the art studio, 412, where we met. And this guy was on fire when I was belting it out. Looking at me, this guy. I had to roll up the window. What's going on? It was like 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting, here comes Tony's mail. So I recorded it. I emailed it to the producer, Nigel, and he wrote me back that night. Oh, we love this. It's going to be on tomorrow. It's like, what? Goodness. So they played it, and it's hilarious. And so they play it like every 3 months, and I accompanied a little letter, and Tony talked about it. So every 3 months it happened. Then this is like a year later. I was listening. Lucas passed away, my golden retriever, the night before, and I was sitting in the car, and I was melancholy going over the night before, and my mailbag jingle came on, and I went from melancholy to hilarity, and I thought that was just so striking. I was outside the Innovation
yours was
Center.
Playing.
Yeah, mine was playing. I was in the car outside the Innovation Center for Really Big Faces. I was probably carrying your giant portrait that around, and I just went from melancholy to hilarity. And I thought that was just so striking. So I had the idea, I'm going to write to him and send him a print of the Lucas painting, a golden retriever, to museum. And I didn't get around to it for 6 months, but I kept thinking, and I said, finally did it. Right. And I sent, you printed it for me. I mounted this little 18-inch by 24-inch piece. FedEx lost it. And so in January, I sent it. The podcast comes on, and he says, oh, I get this note from FedEx that I got this package from Pittsburgh, and it's gone. And he was really mad at FedEx, and he railed against it. So the next podcast, people are writing in and joking around about FedEx. I reached out to the producer, and I said, Nigel, I think this is from me. I'm going to get you another one of what I sent. Josh produced the print again, beautiful canvas print. I mounted it. I sent it off with a letter. And son of a gun, I wrote to Nigel, and he sent me his apartment. So I sent it directly to his home. And I knew it arrived because I saw on FedEx that it arrived. And I didn't think of anything of it. And 2 days later, he read my letter and talked about the painting. And he said he loved it. And he said, this is beautiful. But my big hope is that he would put it behind him on the set of Pardon the Interruption, because he does it remotely at home. And I was talking to my beautiful fiancee, Mara, and I said, we were at the gym, and it was on, and I said, see that shelf right there? That's a perfect place for it. This was on Friday. On Monday, we were at the gym, and I left. I'm in my car, and I get a text message from a friend with a picture of the PTL of Tony Kornheiser, and there's my painting that you printed, Pittsburgh PrintShip,
love it.
Right behind him. Oh my gosh, it was so cool. And my phone's been blowing up on social media. I've been promoting it, and I'm going to be ordering a bunch of prints from you tomorrow. We're making money.
Man.
So it's so cool and so fun, and I'm getting messages from, they call themselves Littles if they're a Tony Kornheiser podcast follower. I'm a loyal little like you. I'd like to find out how I can order a print of your dog's print. So it's so cool. But again, it's that idea of this painting is a good idea. It's done well. That painting went viral, and we sold out of the print, and it's been a great thing, and I've made money. And
the mugs as well.
We're coming out with merch.
Oh my goodness!
Look for the merch on TomRosserDesign.com.
It's going down.
The Lucas Paw Company, it's called.
The Lucas Paw Company.
The Lucas Paw.
I love it. Paws up, y'all. Hey, so you made it to ESPN, my guy.
Yeah, but it was a good idea, and you get it in front of the right people, and it's right behind him on ESPN. So we're at the gym tonight. It's on. He's going to put it up all week on the show, and I'm getting emails from old high school friends saying, I'm sitting here on the couch watching PTL, and there's your painting of Lucas. So, again, if you got that good, I keep putting it out there. So, man, thanks.
I need one myself.
It's cool. It's fun, too. It's fun. It's a little painting. It's in my home. Right
what
now.
An amazing story. What
Super
an amazing
It's just
story.
This week. It was today. It was like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Not to date it. It's very much in the future. Timeless. We're timeless.
It's timeless.
This is worth living to, even if it's 5 years.
That's true. That's true. Just, they'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Man. It's beautiful. It's
Your
beautiful.
beard will be down there.
Mine's will hopefully be like here, because my beard just doesn't grow like that. I don't know what he's putting in it. It's like special berries and juices and oils and stuff. He just keeps it to himself. He doesn't let me know.
But we met at 412 Studios, and Josh, we were both upstairs, and you had a little studio space, and
when I first started out, I had an art studio space that I moved a copier into, and it was so small. It was a 10 by 10 area, and I had this big copier and a desk, and then I pack and play because Shark was there. I had him with me every day when he first started out, and a cutter, and I could sit on my swivel chair, and my feet could kick every single thing that I had. Yeah. That's how small my little print shop was at the time, and then grew from there, and it became what it is now.
So inspirational.
It's beautiful.
You're an entrepreneur, but you're an artist and a photographer and a designer, and you're making happen. You're a great dad. This little boy. I mean, geez, that was so great. And then you grew out of it, and you went to several different facilities, and now you're at the big facility in Etna, just blasting it out. And I encourage you to get that amazing printer.
Yeah,
it's butt.
And you can get the same quality prints that Tom gets at PGHPrintShip.com. You can check it out.
The ease of use on this website, it's phenomenal.
It's so easy to navigate.
When you order a print, you pay for it online, very easy, and then QuickBooks send you an email of your purchase, and it's all saved, so you can go through at the end of the month and you can say, this is I've spent $430 with Pittsburgh PrintShip. This is how much money. It's great. It's easy, and the work and the quality of the work is It's phenomenal.
It
The
is
printers
absolutely
are phenomenal.
amazing. No other place I'll go. No other place that I mean, don't
Thank
get me
you.
wrong. I appreciate all the other print shops
It's
out
gone
there.
national. Your
But
work
it-
is national
yeah.
in Pittsburgh.
I mean,
pardon the interruption.
You've done some prints for me that's gone overseas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so it's just amazing. I'm actually an international artist, and
There you go.
Thanks to one of the prints that you
Absolutely.
made for me that I had to embellish. So it was great. Yeah, I met you as well at 412, and it was just it's just
You
been
were getting in at 4:30, and you were pumping it out
Yeah, man.
early, making me feel guilty like I'm drinking coffee at 7. Yeah,
You were
I'm
the only
going.
person I would ever see there every day like I was. I was like, I had to make sure I was there to make sure I meet
Yeah,
with
you've
Tom.
been there for hours already, but I would think Corey's up. I gotta get going.
I
Get
love it.
there.
We inspire each other. That was great,
Yeah.
man.
Tom's door was always open.
It was. It
Yeah,
was.
right.
I would love it. I would just sometimes I would just walk the hallways because his art is all throughout the hallways. I always loved your abstract. I always loved walking through and seeing the abstract art, and it just gave me so many ideas. And man, it was beautiful. I would walk the halls at 5 a.m. and just check it out and just be inspired, and then go upstairs and like, oh, I got it. It just hit me.
So the big the thing about doing abstract art kind of led to the Lucas series, the Golden Retriever. If you have a Golden Retriever seated, looking at a painting of a tennis ball with a black background in a museum setting, because when I would do abstract paintings, swooshing paint around, how do you know? And I do abstract paintings just as a break, just to kind of like just don't think, just go, maybe with a little bit of structure or whatever. But how do you know when it's done? When somebody says, Corey, that painting, that's beautiful. I want to buy it. Is it done? Matter of fact, it is. You don't know. But one way for me to think it was done, I do a big painting of a big abstract painting, but I would create it as if it was in an art museum, and I would show a person from behind looking up at it. Now you could juxtapose a lot of stuff with it. You could show I got the idea from watching a little boy at the MoMA Museum. He was looking at this striking, rather almost sexual painting, and I thought, wow, this is a juxtaposition. But I just like the pose, and it's something that people use in advertisements. Like Norman Rockwell did a painting of a guy in a business suit looking at a Jackson Pollock that was in there. So I did a series of paintings, abstract paintings with people, and then that's how I thought of the idea. Oh, what would Lucas, my dog, look at our art museum? Okay, a tennis ball, and that's how that idea led to that. From like, how can I try to wrap my head around when an abstract painting is done? Well, put a person in front of it. Okay, tells a story. It's done. So that's how it led to that dog. So it's like, it's this popcorn thing that happens.
Man, that it is so deep. That painting is so deep. We had it at the TT Studios. Everybody would stop because
Yeah, big version of it.
Yeah, the big version,
yeah.
and it was absolutely amazing because you have a golden retriever looking at, a framed artwork of a tennis ball in a museum, and it's sitting there staring at it, but you don't realize you're doing the same thing that Lucas is doing, and it was absolutely amazing because it's like, oh, that's hilarious when they sit there like, oh, that's phenomenal, like who would have thought of that? And then it was like, hold up, and I would let them know, like, hold up, we're actually doing exactly what Lucas is doing. So it got the chance to take you in to the piece. It's mind-boggling.
And it was just done for the fun of it. I knew it was a good idea, but it was just done for the fun of it. So it accidentally, promoted tennis. It promoted love of art, and it promoted love of dogs or golden retrievers. So there was three things going on.
Checked
in
all
sports.
those boxes.
So it checked all those boxes, and later on, the United States Tennis Association found out about it, and it's the only time they've ever put a non-person playing tennis. They put the Lucas painting on the cover of one of their issues, so that was really fun. It became really big, and but that whole series, and again, we tied in with rescue groups and a variety of different organizations. We would say every print that we sell for at least maybe 6 months or however long, we'll donate $100 for every print that we sell. So the first Lucas painting sold out in 6 weeks, and we cut a check to what is now called Animal Humane Rescue for $10,000.
Oh, wow.
I made money too. So
Yeah.
Lucas got all the treats he wanted, but it's a win-win. They're very happy. So you get those organizations to promote your art. They're happy. You make donations, and your art gets promoted, and you make money.
How did you learn how to market the way that you market? Like you said, it's all about getting it in front of the right person. If there was an artist that was just getting started now, what would you say? How would they get their work in front of the right person? What would some advice?
It's a product. I mean, you have a product. Your business, your printing business. How can I can do great work at my facility in Etna, and I have a website. It's ease of use. People are going to like this, what I do all over the country. So how do I get the word out? And my dad was an advertising director, so I grew up looking at advertising age, and he would say things. One thing that struck me, and it was a little bit reference to the Lucas painting, is that when you're driving past a billboard, you have about 3.2 seconds to grasp what the billboard is saying, and that really struck with me. So he would say 2 images. You got text, image, and people can grasp it. It was like he would talk about, you got to think in a second grade education way, but also in 3.2 seconds or whatever the time was that he said. But I think about 3
I
seconds.
hear when people are designing billboards, they say 4 words or less. Like you want to drive that point without talking too much. If it's too much, it's just
like
noise.
Lucas is a dog and a tennis ball, and you also wanted like artwork that you can stand far away from and still kind of get it. That's why football is such a great sport, in the sense that you can be at a bar and you can watch the game from clear across the way, because you can see the ball, you can see the action. Hockey, you can't see the puck. Yeah. You just kind of watch the players and you can tell where it is by just watching the players. So, and even like it was a test today at the gym, right across the way, a little TV screen. You could see Tony Kornheiser and Golden Retriever at the museum behind him, and you could see what was going on in that image, because it's just 2 images. And I think that's part of it too. Have your message to be simple, to get the eye-catching, because they're constantly bombarded with imagery and scrolls across the screen. Right. Simple. He also would say simple is also always better. Okay. Like Let It Be, Hey Jude, music from the Beatles that still resonate, just simple songs. It's like when Rusted Root, their one great song, Show Me the Way, was a very simple song that you can kind of sing along with. And there are other songs, they just start going off too much and mumbling. You can't sing along to that. Keep it simple.
That's a sound bite right there.
Singing. We can edit this stuff out later. We'll tweak
These are good parts.
No, this is stuff. Those are the gems you want.
But like, I'm constantly like, I'm a better artist just by looking at these, especially like even the color combinations. I'm looking, I can see your camera, I can see us on the screen, and I'm seeing what colors look good. Like this sweater looks good with the brick, so it's like, I'll remember that.
Yeah. Well, for when you come back on this, when you come back for the round 2, that'll be amazing. Hold up, I know there's going to be brick behind me with matches with that.
In the morning, I'll get up and I'll think, okay, what. Also, like with social media, you'll throw an image out there. It's like a mini focus group meeting online.
That's what it
and
feels
you can
like.
see what images resonate. And it could be like, okay, I got 40 likes, which I usually get 3 likes. Or I got 200 likes and I usually get 32 likes. Well, that image, what did I do that resonated? Like one of the things that is a pet peeve of mine when people post photographs of their wedding or art and they post 4 photographs. It's too many. Okay. You kind of tune it out. Just do 1 strong image, maybe 2 at the most that you're not scrolling through different photographs. Just 1 image, and that resonates and people grasp onto it. So again, it's like keep it simple. People say, "Whoa!" And I'll also have a really cool name like Corey.
Oh man, I appreciate it.
I like how you pronounce my name too.
Yeah.
Mosset. I like that.
Mosset.
Oui, je te toi.
What's that?
Very French.
Mosset.
No, but I always like, and the thing it makes me feel good that my door was always open. The studio, because I'm a real social guy. Like we had a group art show at my studio.
Yeah.
Mara, my lovely fiance, my beautiful fiance, was part of. So there were, I would encourage friends to hang out at the studio and paint. Yeah. They weren't necessarily artists, but they wanted to get in touch with their creativity. And 4 people were doing it on a regular basis, bringing coffee, which was awesome, or beer, which is even better. And I said, let's have a group show, and like 4 other people jumped in. So at times we'd have like 7-8 people at the studio making art, and it was awesome. And people were coming in with house paint, and that was the first time I thought about house paint. I went,
that's it.
And another person took a rod and like did a face with the paint flowing out. I went, oh my gosh, I'm using that. I'm using that. It was great for me. And we cleared out the studio and everybody hung out their artwork and we had a show and it was a huge success and fun. And
There's so many artists that I know that has made their way through that studio. From Ankita, which we had on the show as well. She's also Ankita Sinchetti.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. I believe that's. I'm sorry, Ankita, if I'm pronouncing your name wrong.
No, you have it right.
All right.
Ankita.
Ankita. I love it where her name is pronounced, as well as some of my other friends as well. And it's just like, a lot of them have the same story. I would go in there and you would help them like harness this idea that, there is no right way. Like the way you create is the best way. That, and I think that's beautiful. It's like, I'm going to find out what my thing is. It's the individuality.
Yeah, and your story is so great. I mean, your triumphant story and your comeback story, and that's part of your art. You put that out there.
That's everything.
It's inspirational. I'm sure people know about your story, and it's like something that inspires me a lot. We got a sore ankle. I think, look what Corey, put up.
Get up there and go. Get up there and go.
Superman, superstar. And
well, I appreciate
your story of being in this. I'm an entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur in this little studio space with all these big printers, and you're smiling and putting it out. Boom, you're out of there, bigger, and now look at where you are, having stuff on ESPN. Oh my gosh!
Come on, that's
amazing.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
Wouldn't be here without you.
My studio is stapled. I have huge canvas prints that you produced for me.
Yeah,
and I'm embellishing them. I'm painting them. That's another way for artists to enhance reproductions of the work. Especially on canvas, you leave a little space so people can wrap the canvas around stretcher bars, but you paint on them slightly, add highlights and embellished prints.
I love
There's a great way.
I have some canvases in there, and that's exactly what's about to go down with them. And that's
people collect, and they'll say, you know what, I want an original.
I love it.
So they can't afford the original, but you can get this beautiful print that's been embellished by the artist. It's a phenomenal way to keep the art moving. So. Art is in print. We print money. So it's a way of, but also it's like your work is being seen by more eyeballs.
That's it. And that's what it's about. Getting in front of the right people is what you've been saying the whole time we've been sitting here. And, because as long as you believe in what you create, and you got that idea that this is for some, this is good. You get it in front of the right people. It just takes some time, but once you do, you never know. You might make it to ESPN, right?
And it's still old school. It's still pencil and paper. But then there's technology. Like there was an AI story on CBS Sunday Morning we were watching, and this segment was about art made by AI, and it was like whoa.
We were talking about that a little bit on the last week's episode.
It was DALL-E 2. DALL-E 2 named after Salvador. And you type in golden retriever looking at a tennis ball at a museum, and it goes
and it creates.
And there's some images. I don't know how it's done.
I absolutely.
You either embrace that,
I love
or
it,
you go, oh my gosh, it's going to replace artists.
No,
I say embrace it.
It inspires me.
Yeah. And you can get design ideas, man. Art students, you could like punch in different. I maybe not do like exact copy of that, but I like the layout of that. I uploaded an app on my phone today, and it was, it's free, but it asked for money after a certain portion.
Of course it does.
But using the free segment, and it's a filter. It takes photographs of people, and it makes artistic renditions of that person. Right. And was doing the giant portrait of Mark Fogel, and I'm kind of like, I really tweaking his eyes. I'm kind of like not struggling, but in the photograph, his eyes are kind of blurry, and I did the one filter on this photograph that I'm working on, and it funkied it up, and I was able to see what I wanted, where the reflections were hitting his eyes. Yeah. So my rendition of his eyes does not resemble this graphic, but it helped me show where the light was hitting this filter. So that's a great technology tool.
And that's what I want to love. That's what I love about this whole AI thing is that we're inspired by what we see. So if we see a whole different approach to what art is,
it's another tool.
Yeah, it's just gonna push us forward, and
it's gonna transform art and interior design.
Yeah,
you can do something with AI, but maybe paint on it.
Absolutely,
so it becomes a mixed media. Embrace it. It's like the whole Napster thing.
I'm digging it. Yeah. I'm not scared of it. I actually appreciate it, and I feel it's here to help push us forward. As long as we look at it that way, it's all perspective.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
speaking of pushing us forward and so forth, I wanted to.
The liquid death is pushing me forward.
The liquid death.
What do you put in this?
Yeah,
Whoa,
this
No,
is
it's just
hilarious.
water.
I actually really enjoy this. This is really great. Liquid death, man. Shout out to you guys out there. But if there,
It's really good, actually.
it is. I was like, what's the
logo,
difference?
it's so clever.
It is.
It's just
The whole
beautiful
time,
water.
the whole time, I was thinking it was like energy drink and so forth. I've seen everybody drinking it, and it was like, you tell me it's not. It's just water, but it's good water.
It's like art is everywhere. I mean, it's got the skeletal design, logo design. Everything we see was created by an artist, designer, in some form. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No. I love where you're at though. But I always tell everybody that everything we look at, there is an artist that touched it, right? From a blueprint to the design to something. It all has to come from thought and then go through a process of maybe showing a render of it, then creating it. So an artist has touched everything that we're looking at. This whole world is created by creatives. Just saying.
Everything we see is design in some form. The light post outside, the street lights, cars, vehicles, that they say, when a lower funding for the arts, well, everything we have is based on creativity
from art
in some form. Come on, people,
come on.
And it's just about creative thought, encouraging kids to have creative thought, creative solutions, whether they go on to be a scientist, because you're confronted with an issue. How can you creatively solve this issue, whether it be with science or personalities? Allow yourself to have that creative thought. I'm very deep.
No, I love it. No, but that's what it's about, man. It's about keeping the imagination alive, man, in the younger generation, and that's what it's about. Making sure that they understand it's okay to imagine and use your imagination, and don't try to kill it. Like, let that roam, because that's the way we're going to get to Jupiter. That's the way we're going to get to Mars. It's not going to be the person that's always thinking rational. We need somebody to push beyond that. We need you kids to use those imaginations. And those people out there, like, don't lose that. That's the stuff that pushes the world forward. So
you see a lot of people who have physical problems, or they're overweight, they're ulcers, or what have you. And if you're waking up every day, it doesn't mean you have to be an artist or a creative, but if you hate what you do just every day, and it's like, grind, it's gonna like gray hair, it's gonna and your insides, and it causes just
stress is one of the major killers.
It's a killer, and take some kind of step, whether it's in your personal life, that say, I want to be a chef. Maybe I can develop a recipe that I can mass market. I make these donuts, like grandma's donuts. Let's market these donuts or something. Yeah, but to wake up every day and hate what you do. So the times that I was really struggling, and just everybody struggling in a business, I still loved what I did, and I'd get into a project, and I loved it, and I would have friends, especially out of college. They're driving around in their company paid cars, but I probably had a half dozen friends say, Tom, I wish I loved what I did like you do. I would give up this, I just buy stuff, and then I and nothing wrong with buying stuff. I like nice stuff, but I just buy stuff as a way to sort of like buy some time, some mental time, but then it fades, and I hate what I do. I want to make money by something that I do, and that was very inspirational for me. And I would just say, you should still have time to make changes.
Yeah, live off of what you love, man. Try to find a way to live off of what you love, and that to me is that's a significant existence. Since we're talking about you and your journey, if there was something that you could actually ask, or if you were sitting across from your younger version of yourself before you went on this journey, and you wanted to give that person any advice, that younger version of Tom, what would you say to that person?
I would say, man, you're going to have a beautiful woman in your life in a few years.
Hello. That's what I'm talking about. Talk that talk, Tom.
With poor taste in men, though. You can't see her expression off camera.
Oh, goodness.
That's the great thing.
You make her smile, though.
It's the great thing about like this project that I was talking about, where I was doing a pen and ink rendering of Terry Bradshaw, the old Steeler, right? Well, I have it in my computer, in my files, of a drawing of, I have 3 drawings of Terry Bradshaw. One when I was 11 years old. There it is, pen and ink, Terry Bradshaw with this funky face mask that he wore for like 1 year. I think his second year or whatever, dumb knowledge that I know. And I was drawing Terry Bradshaw as an 11-year-old, and there I am doing a rendering of Terry Bradshaw in ink from the same year of his playing days. I'm still doing it, and I want to like say thank you, kid. Keep doing what you're doing because it's going to lead. Now you want to make some choices in college. That night, that party, advice. And your senior year, maybe avoid that party. No, but it's a great thing about even like to go back to an old painting and like touch it up, or an old sketch. Like I have these old sketches I did when I was 12, and I kind of like drew on it a little bit. It's like collaborating with the 11-year-old version of myself. So I'm of the belief that 11-year-old is still in you, that 15-year-old is still in you, the 20-year-old, the 25-year-old, 28-year-old is still in you, and they're all having conversations with you. And like one of your family members pushes your buttons, well, that 12-year-old's getting pissed, and he's gonna like, no, you calm him down. So you have to have this conversation with all the, however the 30 people in your body, or how many people are in your body making decisions. But your every artistic collaboration, I'm collaborating with a 12-year-old, 20-year-old, 25-year-old version of me. It's like that famous artist who was the guy he's a very famous artist. He later on in life he painted the squares.
Oh my goodness!
It's gonna hit me afterwards, like midnight or something. I'm like, I'll rise out of
Leave a comment if you know what it is.
Yeah, there we go.
In any event, he was a phenomenal abstract painter. Then he just started simplifying. It's just squares. With beautiful color. No. Yeah, Mark Rothko.
Yeah, we're talking Rothko. Okay,
some woman at an art event at a gallery said, it was snooty, and it was just like a big square. And she said, well, how long did it take you to make that?
Yeah, I have no idea.
He said 55 years.
Absolutely, his whole
life.
That
was his life, his whole life. So it's like when somebody says, you're not paying me for my time, you're paying me for my talent. I can make micro decisions, boom, 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 to finish something in a short time. Don't penalize me because I can do things fast. If I'm a writer and I'm an editor, I can look at your piece and I can edit it. Well, this is how much I charge. Well, it only took you half an hour. Well, because I have 40 years that it took me to do it.
Exactly. And I don't think there's any better way to end than on what you would say about to yourself. You would say, thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Kid. And also don't go to that party.
Don't go to that party. Senior year. The peppermint schnapps, your freshman year on Packer, third floor Packer, with those two seniors, do not do the shots of peppermint schnapps.
No younger Tom. Don't do it.
The first night of the word spins came like that. No peppermint schnapps. Every time I eat peppermint mint ice cream, it reminds me of that night, my freshman year.
Goodness.
Anything mint.
It must have been bad.
I'll leave on that note. No mint, but it reminds me. It's like that little trigger. The same with art and ideas. Those triggers are still there. So
there they go.
This has been great.
They never go anywhere. But guys, I wanted to say thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, and this was a treat right here.
Thank you for listening and watching.
Thank you so much, Tom.
How do I look good.
You look phenomenal, especially with the hands up. We should all just put the hands up.
Everything you do is an idea. Going like this, that's an idea. I thought of this just now.
There you go.
Cultivate your ideas.
This is the mind of a creative.
This was an idea that I just had. Here's some more ideas.
No, we want to thank everybody for listening, man. We Tom, this has been a phenomenal journey. I learned a lot, actually.
Thanks,
tell you the truth.
This is awesome.
This is great. For those out there listening, man, we want to say once again thank you. This is Corey Ochai. We are at the 1028 studio, so if you guys are listening and you actually like what you're hearing, you like what you're seeing, you want to try this thing out called podcasting and tell your story like we just did with Tom here, please don't hesitate to contact us at the 1028 podcast, and that's on Facebook, that's on Instagram, and we can sit down and we'll talk about how we can help you tell your story.
Can you book it online yet?
Oh, no, not yet, but it's coming. But actually, by the time you listen to this, you can go on www.1028podcaststudio.com, and you should be able to do everything that we just talked about. So that'll be beautiful.
We're going to hold you to it.
At Tom
absolutely.
Absolutely. On Instagram?
Yes.
Follow me?
Yeah, you can definitely follow Tom.
At me.
And Tom, that's on all platforms too,
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll make sure
I like your TikToks.
Yeah. What?
Wait till I start doing my shuffle dancing.
Goodness. Stop it, Tom.
I can't do the sexy stuff,
Stop.
It's all an idea.
I got that.
Yeah, but
everything we do is an idea.
You got something to say to Josh?
Yeah, no, you were going in, so go ahead. Yeah. Tom Mosser. TomMoster.com?
Tom Monster Design.
Design.com.
And Instagram at Tom Monster Design.
TikTok.
And then you have some offshoots, really big faces.
There's a bunch of Facebook pages. You type in Tom Mosser, it'll be Tom Mosser's work for Levi Stadium, Tom Mosser's work for Prudential Center Arena, Tom Mosser's self-portrait series. Yeah. Facebook is great for that. I've got 40
okay,
pages.
real quick. I got like a couple of questions just eating at me. What do you think was your breakout moment?
It'll be next year around June. It still hasn't happened yet.
You don't think so?
Oh, no. That's what I think.
Hold on. You have the world's biggest or America's biggest indoor mural. Is it still the biggest?
It is, yeah. The largest interior mural. Yeah, that was a great project. That whole stadium project, it was through Sports and the Arts, Prudential Center Arena, the home of the New Jersey Devils. I was living in Sewickley, kind of like, I was working, painting like crazy, but I was kind of struggling. And an old roommate of mine, Ben Boma, he works for ESPN. He works for Fox Sports. He used to work for the Pirates, and he travels the country doing hockey games. He's a spotter. Wow. He was at a charity golf event, and afterwards the organizers were at a bar. It was a hockey. Jeremy Roenick is a Hall of Fame hockey player. He's this golf tournament. And there was a woman there who was selling artwork to raise money. He gave her a business card of mine that he had. He said, "You should talk to my friend Tom in Pittsburgh. He's really good." She didn't think much of it. A couple of weeks ago, she looked at my stuff. She called me, and we hit it off on the phone. She really liked my stuff. Yeah. And she said, "I got this project. Can't talk about it." She was a bit of an interior designer, but she had a deal to do the interior design for Prudential Center Arena behind the scenes. Ooh. 3 weeks later, she called me. I'm driving up Walnut Street, and she said, "Tom, I've got this project. It's called Prudential Center Arena. You're going to do about 40 or 50 pieces, including a large mural. We got $78,000 for you. I'm going to upfront you $35,000 in advance." And I went, "Okay." And I was really cool. I was like, "Okay, that sounds good." Inside, I'm going, "What?" And so I ended up doing like 50 some pieces regarding history in the area, logo treatments, hockey players, and a 30-foot by 200-foot mural. So that little business card led to the largest interior mural in the world, and it was an old school networking, and I need to send Ben more thank you cards.
But you have not broken through yet, you don't think?
No, I think that's why I think like I never turned the. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the villa in the south of France right now, but I don't like the term evolving artist. We're always evolving.
I agree with that absolutely.
I think it's a dumb term. Emerging artist.
Right. When you retired as the Pirate Parrot, were you self-sustaining with art at that time? You were using that job so that you could have a job, have income, and do art at the same time? Is that what you were building?
Yeah, I wanted. The new owner was like close to me in age. I said, "I'm almost the same age as the owner. I got to retire." Right. And my parents had passed away like 5 days apart. And I said, "You know what? It's time to follow my dream." I had a little bit of money saved up, and I said, "Well, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm gonna bang it out." So you go from
hopped off the porch.
Yeah. That's what happened, and I pushed through. I ended up going to Sewickley for 4 years with a little art studio space, and I painted a ton, and I was kind of pushing through and struggling through, and that was 2005. A year later is when Ben Boma handed Tracy Specker the business card.
And you had done
that changed my life.
2005 is when you did the two Andys.
Two Andys and
downtown.
Thank you. The two Andys mural with Sarah Zeffro. We did that through the Sprout Fund. I think I made $2,000 for that.
But it's iconic. I mean,
I'm so happy that it's still around, and we knew it was simple image, Andy Warhol, Andrew Carnegie, two Andys. I had no idea. I didn't realize that they were both named Andy until somebody pointed out. I said, "Oh yeah, genius." No, I didn't know Andrew, and I didn't think of it. Getting a underneath chair.
How far along were you before you realized that?
Don't make sure there's sound with me going like this. Just two Andys mural. Getting a. I know. No, but that mural. So the New Jersey the owners of the arena loved that mural, and they said, "How much do you get for that?" And I said something like $75,000. I just lied.
Yeah.
And they said, "Okay, all right, that's a starting point." And it started. And so the two Andys that changed my life too, indirectly, and it was like 3 weeks of 90-degree weather on the top of Wiener World. I'm thinking, where's my life going? Seriously, oh my gosh, I was like sort of broke, and I'm like doing this thing for $2,000. And Sarah was fun; she was great to work with and all. But that mural led to the Prudential Center mural and the little business card.
Yeah.
So it was like building blocks, and keep pushing. I knew that Two Andes was a great idea,
right.
And I was happy with the way it coming out. I needed to get that mural into the right eyes, and the right eyes were the owners of the Prudential Arena, the Devils, New Jersey Devils. So that's another case. Looking back on it, I got it in front of the right eyes.
So
that's beautiful.
To go into my closing.
Okay.
That was an important piece. So I'll just say.
I do have another thing I'm excited about.
Go ahead.
So we're gonna be with. Another thing is great. It was Squarespace, your website designer.
Yeah.
Doing this. I'm dating an Italian, so I picked it up. Hey, what are you doing? Oh my God.
Hey.
So it's aligned with the company Printful. Mm-hmm. So we have behind the scenes. We have a whole line of merchandise related to a golden retriever at the museum.
Beautiful.
Coffee mugs. And not everybody can afford $500 art print, which is great, or $300 art print, but they'll $30 for a coffee mug. And it's so easy. It's a fulfillment company. So you create these designs digitally. You don't have boxes of T-shirts in your garage burning a hole in your wallet.
Right.
So we're going to be launching that in the next couple of weeks, and I'm excited about the possibility of that. You imprint your abstract painting on leggings or a shirt or a coffee mug, and it's another way for
find the one that gets 1,000 likes, and then you're like, all right, I got to put this into something
so
that people are going to use.
You're closing, which I interrupted, but
so what I was going to say is just kind of what this podcast theme has kind of meant to me is that where you're at in life, people say that you're on your way. Oh, you're on your way there. I see you're heading in the right direction or whatever. I believe something a little bit different. I believe that you are exactly where you need to be at every moment in time. And the point of that is that every block is building on the next, and you wouldn't have that cornerstone. You wouldn't have that next level without whatever the block before that was, whether it's a struggle or a win. It doesn't matter. The point is that you have to have each one of those. You can't just do Prudential. You can't just do, you have to do, each thing before that to make yourself there. So whatever it is you're doing, do your best. And then I think that's what shows through. That's what sets you apart and makes you into something that is going
very
to.
Well said.
Absolutely.
I like the adage of saying, I am so happy for every mistake that I've made in my life because that led me to be in this room with you fine people. And I said that at the speech at Really Big Faces. It just kind of hit me. I can't believe I thought of it, but I said I'm so happy for every mistake I've had because I'm in this room with all these people at this art show. It led me to be right here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for doing the peppermint schnapps at that party. Because I don't know if that led me anywhere.
11-year-old Tom we're talking to. That's
that was
amazing.
very well said. That was
beautiful, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, we all here. No skipping steps, right?
Exactly.
It's like everything matters, and we are. I think we're at that point where it's like we're just gaining the skills to become the person that we were meant to be.
You never stop emerging.
Whatever. And it's never going to stop until that day, where we just go on to our next existence. But until then, we'll keep evolving, and that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Keep moving forward, guys.
Yeah. So check us out. I'll do my outro. So PGHPrintShip.com. That's our business that does printing, apparel, copy center, fine art printing, and we use like signs and banners and stuff real big.
They're great. Ease of use is amazing on the website.
You.
I'll vouch for it.
Definitely phenomenal.
Thank you.
Phenomenal work, guys.
We print for a lot of artists. We print for a major museum, and my venture out marketing this year is to print for more museums. So that's what I'm trying to get into. And if you want to follow me personally, it's Josh Snyder 86 on Instagram. That's usually the best place to reach me. Snyder with an I, Snider. And then the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We wouldn't be here without you, and we wouldn't be able to be doing what we're doing without all the support that we have. Absolutely. And that goes for all of us individually. So we all thank everyone that has crossed our paths or helped us build on those blocks that we have. So thank you for listening. Thoughtful Discussions, Instagram, Facebook, and any podcast that you can listen to. Thoughtful Discussions with Josh Snyder.
I like that.
Thoughtful Discussions.
The reason I came up with
everything
I'll
you
go
do
real
is
quick.
an idea.
It is. The reason I thought about the name is I was like, well, if I could have anything else in the world, it'd be more thoughtful discussions.
You could be a therapist. I mean, that could be part of what you do. You do have a great voice.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Thanks, guys.
So thank you for
All right.
listening. Wouldn't be here
Definitely.
without you.
Everything you do is an idea.
Absolutely. Go out there, do something
Cultivate it.
beautiful. The world's counting on you. Remember, this world is a blank canvas, and each of us need to grab our paintbrushes and help paint this masterpiece together. And we are out.